In my 5 years at AmaZOOnico, I've supervised over 400 volunteers. In that same time frame, we've rescued a bit less than 300 animals. So as much as we are dedicated to the animals and their well-being, we can never forget that people are at the core of everything we do here at the center. It's of course people who cause the problem of wildlife trafficking, who hunt, buy and sell the animals, but it's also people who fight back, to bring justice to these animal victims, and to speak out against the disrespect and the unnecessary physical harm that illegal wildlife trafficking represents. And ultimately, it's the diversity of our human values that drive this entire cycle. It's the meaning that we construct for wild animals and the environment that each one of us develops into our own worldview. And this is where a contradiction exists between those who only value the environment for profit and cheap thrills, and those who respect the creatures that cannot defend themselves. We don't construct our worldviews in a bubble. We can influence others and we can be influenced by others. And during my time at AmaZOOnico, I'm proud to say that my worldview has been influenced by some of the strongest, most selfless people that exist on our planet, our volunteers. When I first started working at the center, I was quite misanthropic, mainly just seeing all the damage that humans do to their environment and to each other. And when you see birds that have had their wings broken on purpose, or severely malnourished baby monkeys, turtles with their shells cracked open for who knows what misguided human endeavor, it's difficult to respect humanity. But 400 humans have given me hope. There's been Burkhard, Ward, Ulrich, and Monique, all of whom were in their 60s. They've probably lived through countless difficulties, but still have had the hope and the energy to fight back when they see injustice, to donate their precious time at a life stage when most people start to sit back and accept the world for what it is. And there's been Maya, Ari, Sarah, and Vera, just teenagers who are only starting to see the problems of our world on the horizon. But they're not sitting back waiting to be struck by these issues, they're acting. And they and all of you have acted without any regard for personal comforts, financial gain, none of that. You act because you know that we need a better world, a world free of senseless environmental crimes, and a better world for humanity. And you've all inspired me, the messages, the experiences, the values, the reasons for hope that I've seen embodied in all of these volunteers from different age groups, different countries, different walks of life. This proves to me that our work is worth it. And I've had the privileged perspective that I can see the direct link between carrying around hundreds of kilos of fruit each week and creating a better world for wildlife and humanity. And I had a big reminder of this recently while I was tending the reception area here. I happened to strike up a conversation with an American tourist named Bill. And he fit the stereotype a little bit and was almost too willing to share several details of his very personal life and experiences. And Bill was an older man, in his 70s, and he admitted that he'd always been relatively close-minded, a typical country boy in his words, and his wife had kind of dragged him out of his comfort zone to go on this vacation to Ecuador. And Bill, he had fought in the Vietnam War, and he never really thought about the rainforest or the indigenous people that he and his colleagues destroyed over 50 years ago with their guns and their bombs. And Bill was a man looking for some closure as he winds his life down. And he told me that he's really starting to see the problems that his generation has created, the tremendous inequality between global north and south, the march away from peace and their aggression toward authoritarianism, and the destruction of the rainforest and its human and wildlife inhabitants. And as an old man, he admitted that he never really had much hope for the younger generations that they could fix these problems. In his eyes, young people mainly just sit around all day, having their minds melted by their smartphones. But of course, he then visited AmaZOOnico. And Bill told me explicitly that this experience has changed his whole perspective on humanity. 70 years of constructing his own worldview with countless experiences and hardships, and in his mind, this visit to Ecuador had finally completed a circle. From the destruction his generation created 60 years ago in the jungles of Vietnam, to the regenerative, life-affirming work that AmaZOOnico volunteers are doing today in the jungle of Ecuador. This was a man whose faith in humanity was restored because of the work happening here at AmaZOOnico, the work to which all of you have contributed. So please never forget, the work you guys have done at AmaZOOnico and the work you continue to do as members of the Padrinos not only directly contributes to the well-being of hundreds of wild animals, but it also serves to rehabilitate the group of animals that probably needs it most of all, humanity.
Buenas tardes con todos los amigos del Club de Amigos AmaZOOnico. Para mí es un gusto de estar llegando a estos años con mucho trabajo exitoso con el AmaZOOnico, y agradecer también mucho a los padrinos que han dado la mano todos estos años, y tenemos el éxito, digamos, de los animales que hemos liberado y animales que se reproducen. Todo ha ido bien estos años, y agradecerlo mucho, que sigan cooperando a todo el grupo de los padrinos. Ojalá que haya más padrinos para seguir avanzando exitosamente con el proyecto que tenemos. Tanto la fauna y la flora, y es tan importante aquí para el mundo entero, digamos. Sí. Y saludarles por este año que estamos llegando a tenerlo. Ojalá sigamos más adelante. Muchas gracias.